Hello and welcome to Let's Talk About, a series spotlighting leaders, authors, artists, marketers, creators, entrepreneurs, sharing tips and expert advice on business, media, technology, and frankly, life itself. I'm your host, Cynthia Nelson, three-time entrepreneur, Forbes contributor, investor, and advisor. Today, we're talking to Chris Parnell, co-founder and chief commercial officer at NextGen, a social creative and creator agency. He's also a Forbes 30 Under 30 recipient. Chris, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much, Cynthia. And yeah, slowly getting past my 30s into my 31, and the Forbes 30 under 30 is it was a nice achievement, but I'm going to get into what is the next one? What is the next thing to go for, right?
Right, exactly. I mean, those are always prestigious to have, and then they're the blip on the radar screen. You're like, okay, I'm back to work the next day. Like, I've got stuff to do.
Right. Yeah, 100%. And yeah, some exciting stuff going on right now, which I'm very much excited to be speaking to you about.
Super awesome. So, first of all, you are a creative agency that has the creative economy like at its heart and soul. But I want to wind it back a little bit. Like, how did you get into the agency world? What sparked your curiosity? Give me some background.
Yeah, for sure. So, you know, uh, I guess like some other agency owners, I kind of fell into creating an agency.
Yeah.
So I did a degree in business computing and IT at Aston University in Birmingham. Part of that is also doing a placement year. So I spent a year working for IBM, sort of understanding more about the corporate world and all of its wonderful uh, nuances. Let's go with that. Sort of seeing what it's like to be, yeah, nuances, and seeing what it's like to be sort of told what to do, how to do it, and where to do it. Realized that wasn't for me. I'm the sort of the traditional entrepreneur, wants to do it himself, wants to sort of go out and sort of break the mold a little bit. My background prior to IBM, prior to university, was I was a YouTube content creator, call it influencer, between 2012 to 2015, creating gaming YouTube videos. My co-founder Mike was a gaming YouTube influencer as well, friend then, co-founder now. And yeah, we sort of brought the agency or the business to life because our friendship circle were some of the largest content creators on the planet. They wanted to work with brands wanted to work with them. We spotted the opportunity. And this was 2015, before it was really influencer marketing, before that kind of that boom of the 2015 to, I'd say, 18 really happened. So we got ahead of the curve and we were one of the originals. So yeah, kind of started as a talent management agency. We realized we wanted to do bigger, bolder things. So we became an agency, and then talent is still part of our business, but it's not all that we do.
And how is it, that there's been so much kind of up and down with talent, right? So, because some talent are really great, some are great in what they do, but they're not always great when they work with brands. How has that creator economy kind of changed as you've seen over the last even 10 years, right? Now you're almost in your 9 years in, almost 10. How is that actually changing for brands working with influencers or creators and creators on the other side of it? What do they need to know?
Yeah, I mean, it's gone through so many iterations, right? When we started in 2015, like TikTok wasn't even a thing.
Yeah.
Now the TikTok emergence of 2020 and sort of through to now, let's be honest, TikTok's completely changed the game. And then you're seeing things like Prime, for example, with KSI, Logan Paul, Mr. Beast Burger with Mr. Beast. Like, there's so many trends, so many moments that happen. And there was an emergence of the nano influencer between sort of 2019 to 2021. And I think what we've done very well at is staying ahead of what is happening and keeping the brands that we work with ahead of that. So when we launched, we were one of the first influencer agencies. We then became one of the largest gaming focused agencies, and so adding that gaming string to our bow, because we saw lots of brands trying to reach Gen Z, sort
Yeah.
of Gen Alpha, Millennial, through the gaming lens. And we provided that service to some of the biggest brands on the planet. Sort of, how do you reach that audience specifically? And then we won clients like Pepsi, for example, which is outside of gaming and more broad. It's social, it's creative, it's influencer. And like I said, our business has evolved in the same way the economy, or the creator economy has evolved. And we now either represent or work with pretty much most of the biggest influencers on the planet. We work with people like KSI, PewDiePie. So we've had that exposure, and I think coming from that background of being influencers, ourselves, it gives us that genuine. It's not like we're pretending to know what we're talking about. We've been there, we've seen it, albeit a very long time ago,
Yeah.
and sort of been a part of this now for the past 10 years as well.
What do you think about AI and how is that going to impact negative or positive the creator economy?
It's interesting, right? Because AI provides huge opportunities, but also it provides huge, scary potential consequences as well, right? Um, on the more positive side of things, you've got better tools, better analytics to be able to understand not only based on like demographic information, age, gender, location, fake followers are the best influencers to work with, which is part of our tool stack. That's how we identify influencers, but also then an analysis of historic posts. So what are the past other posts they put out on Twitter, Instagram, TikTok over the past 5 years or so? What are those posts, and is there anything that's damaging potentially to brands?
Right.
So AI provides that huge lens or huge insight around brand reputational protection. And I don't need to go into examples here, but there's been brands that have not done their research necessarily, chosen influencer, and then it's backfired. Impacting share price and various other things. You can probably guess who I'm talking about.
Bud Light,
Um,
let's just scream it out to the top of our lungs. We know who it was. Yeah.
you went there. Hey, I didn't say anything. But yeah,
Serious, serious
it's
shitstorm. Just let's just go there.
yeah, I think that's fine. And I'm very, you're right. And there's been more examples as
And
well.
and I love the
But
company. AB InBev was a client of mine a long time ago. So I mean, I have just mad respect for AB InBev and all those guys. But that was I think very unexpected, but what a shitstorm.
right, and I think that goes down to know your product, know your audience, know your creators, and know who the influencers are who are going to authentically bring that to life. Which, going back to the AI piece,
Yeah.
that's one of the lenses that AI gives us. To be clear, AI is not going to replace humans. It's just not. Like, it's going to get us to a level of deep understanding of which creators make sense. But we've built a team of over 100 who are experts in then taking that information, analyzing it, and making sure that the right creators are locked in. And it's even down to like cultural nuances. My team in New York are very much experts in the US. Team in the UK, the same. Like, you've got to get into the market and understand the market to be able to then build on it. But then you've also got things like virtual influencers. Believe it or not, we've got clients asking, can we do virtual influencers? And we're on that journey learning what that's all about as well. And I'm not going to say I'm an expert because I'm very much not, but the opportunity with avatar-based AI-driven influencers is huge, but also to traditional human influencers, scary because that could start taking away their revenue stream. So yeah, it's a mixed bag, is what I'd say.
I think it's going to be interesting to see what happens for sure. I mean, if you think about how consumers buy, right? They buy based on, feeling, not just right price, right? Especially when their brand, they love a brand. There's various reasons for the buy side of it. Their habits have changed over the last even 5 years, where I think a younger consumer, a Gen Z, a millennial, Gen Z, and Gen Alpha definitely, they're looking towards their influencers to give them their news, product information, like what do I believe in? Do you think that's going to continue going forward? What do you see from a trend perspective?
Yeah, so I think it kind of goes back to that cyclical piece of the creator economy, right? In the sense of like creators back in 2016, 2017 were the thing. And it was like, if you want to sell to an audience, the creators were absolutely where you should be placing your biggest bet. I still believe creators are absolutely the right place to place your bet, but you need to start thinking about how you're going to reach that audience. Organic content that goes out on TikTok or that goes out on Instagram, the platforms want to make their money too,
Yeah.
right? The
Oh, yeah.
platforms want to look into how do we benefit? So we're now advising a lot of our clients to think about, well, if you're putting out TikTok content, think about sparking it. If you're putting out Instagram content, think about meta ads and how paid and organic can sit together rather than media agency, creator agency, and sitting various. That doesn't work anymore. They have to be a marriage in terms of how the two elements can work together. But that goes back down to that point around reaching the audiences within the influencers, who are subscribed to them, right, or who's following them, but also lookalike audiences who actually would find that content relevant, interesting, exciting, whatever. Um, but also then you've got the micro nano influencer conversation as well, and like huge influencers are not as influential as they once were.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
are there sort of nano influencers not just on Instagram and TikTok, but look at places like Reddit or Discord or these new emerging, not necessarily emerging, but newer
Yeah.
forms of reaching consumers? How does that work? And that's what we're trying to really help our clients with as well. And we run Discord for a number of different clients as well. And how can you actually reach that gaming audience, for example? So changing those purchase habits, changing that purchase behavior based on not just Gen Z, but also Gen Alpha. Where are they? How do they shop? And yeah, there's a lot of research we're doing around that right now.
It's super interesting. What's new with you guys? Like, what are you excited about in 2025? What's up and coming for you?
I mean, I think TikTok Shop is going to be huge, right? I mean, look at Candy Kittens. They just launched. It went crazy,
Yeah.
like genuinely crazy. And I think not just looking at TikTok Shop in the virtual environment, but also how do you create physical experiences?
Yeah.
And again, going back to that point around, and again, COVID was a while ago, but it's still in the back of people's minds
Yeah.
of this digital bubble of everything happens online. Well, let's get people back out and experiencing brands
Yeah.
again.
Yeah.
But I think there has to be an element of both of that, right? It's the physical connecting to the digital connecting to the social connecting to more broadly. And what I'm really excited about as well is the broader move to campaigns being genuinely social first. The traditional model is let's do a TV ad
Yeah,
and
totally.
then let's cut it
It all
down and
trickles down from there, right?
right.
There's a social, there's never been, well, I don't think that there are very many big agencies thinking social media first, and then everything spawns off of that.
They're not.
It's
And
not
like
always holistic in the planning side, right?
100%. And also as well, like it's not in their interest
No.
because they make their margins from TV, they make their margins from radio, from out of home.
Yeah.
So, it's not necessarily client interest aside, the big agencies are never going to be social first in the truest sense. What we are really trying to disrupt is that thinking around campaigns can be social first. Look at the Spotify Rewind, or is
Yeah.
it? I think it's Rewind, right? That was a data-driven, social-led campaign that became a TV ad, that became out of home, that became all these other formats. One
Right.
of the most successful campaigns in the past 10 years, right? And it recurs every year, and everyone looks forward to it. And it
Right.
became a thing because of data and social, then everything else. And I think that is where I see ourselves cutting through. That's what we help our clients with. But also, as well, it's where a lot of my new conversations start with clients around what is your transformation to go from the old format, TV, everything else, to social, other formats. And we're doing pretty well off that.
I think that's super interesting. I mean, last question, but always a fun one. If you had a crystal ball, what would you say are the most important things we're going to see and need to know going into 2025?
So I would re-highlight that previous conversation around social being not just a part of the mix, but the start of the mix. I would say that is a big trend that we're seeing, and a lot of clients are benefiting from that. Um, AI, obviously, virtual influencers, I think is a very fair or an emerging topic that we're going to see a lot more of, and also the importance of influencers not being short-termism. So not just using a creator or an influencer for a one-off beat. There's times and places for that, but think about it more from a longer term perspective. How can you build a true relationship where you're not paying for every post? How do you get to a point where they're so excited to work with you and what you've got coming out, they actually organically post about you or organically create content about you? That's your always on. And then
Yeah.
there's spikes and beats where you can tap into creators on a short term, but don't let the shorter term be the only thing. And then that's what I think again you're going to see a lot of that in 2025, and just generally just where AI will take us. I really wish I had the crystal ball to say 5 years from now this is where we're going to be, but it scares the hell out of me. So
I know. I was just talking about it the other day, making my predictions. I believe in it totally, but there are some guardrails that just aren't there today, and especially for Gen Alpha. I mean, it's just a free for all.
right,
There's
yeah,
no guardrails on anything right now on IP. I think lots of lawsuits to come on creator IP for sure, but they will figure it out. It's just the law has not caught up to this. It's just going so fast.
right. And I think as well though that even outside of influencers or creators, just the ability to be creative
Yeah.
is going to be impacted by AI as well. Like, we had it was interesting just to sort of put a client challenge into an AI engine. I'm not going to say which one, but one of the
Yeah.
engines, and see what it came back with in terms of creative ideas to solve that challenge.
Yeah.
And we pitted that against our creative team. Admittedly, the creative team's ideas were better, but AI was not far behind.
No.
How long is that going to be before?
And you should be using it to generate more information, more content, more ideas, so you can pick the best of both worlds, right? It's not one versus the other. It should be both combined together.
100%. And it's like, how do you use AI to rapidly iterate, then a
Exactly.
creative team to build on and bring that human touch, that je ne sais quoi
Yeah,
that
exactly.
an AI will never get.
We'll never get.
That's and I think you're absolutely right, Cynthia.
Well, this has been super great. Thank you so much. How do people reach out to you if they want to work with you? What's your email address?
Yeah, so I'm on Chris at thenewgen.com, website thenewgen.com. As I said, social creative agency. We specialize in all things influencer and also helping brands to unlock how social can transform their business, how social can really reach that Gen Z, Gen Alpha audience that brands know they want to reach but have no idea how to. So we'd definitely love to have a conversation there.
Awesome. Thank you so much.